And welcome to the Shelburne Planning Commission meeting of June 8th, 2017. I'd like to call the meeting to order. First item on our agenda is approval of the agenda. Consider a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Moved by Jason, seconded by Perry. All in favor? Aye. I had one, we just approved it, but I had one edit to the agenda. I apologize. On section 6 here, we're just going to continue the energy discussion since we haven't received all the materials we need from the Regional Planning Commission. So we thought it would be best just to defer that conversation until likely the next meeting, at which point we'll have that. So I'll just delete that energy reference for now. So we'll consider the agenda approved as amended, if that's fair. Next item on our agenda is disclosures relating to any potential conflicts of interest. We were just on the conflicts.
But you didn't do the minutes?
Number 3.
Oh, sorry. The minutes we will get to. You're saying we don't have,
Well, and with Kate here, I just want to make sure that you have the 4 of the
Okay.
people who are,
any conflicts to disclose, and we'll go back to the minutes. Seeing no hands, hearing no voices, we will move on to approval of the minutes of May 8th, 2017. A copy of which is included in the packets. We'll consider a motion to approve.
So moved.
Moved by Dick,
Second.
seconded by Jason. Any discussion? I had one comment. On page 4, under the stormwater reference, first sentence, there was mention of having a system where people gain. And I thought maybe what we would instead say is, instead of where people gain, since it just wasn't very clear to me, and I'm concerned that people reading this might, whoever does read it, might not quite understand what we were getting at there. Maybe we say something along the lines of that might provide incentives to property owners. We were thinking density bonuses. We were thinking some, where people gain just felt a little bit ambiguous to me, and I wanted to make sure the minutes reflected.
Where incentives could be provided for properties used to support,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, that was the idea,
Incentives
where
might be.
having a system that might provide incentives to property owners if their property is used to support stormwater management. And the only other comment I had is at the end there when we reference flipping the defaults. I wonder if a parenthetical might be helpful. Yeah, exactly. So if you didn't, then anyone reading this probably wouldn't. So I thought we'd just add a parenthetical that said, i.e., whatever we're calling it, low impact development, green infrastructure will be the default requirement.
you could
That's what we
say
mean.
flipping the default requirement from conventional to green infrastructure,
Yeah,
something like that.
exactly. That's all I had. Any other comments? Questions? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. May 25th, 2017 minutes are approved. Next item on our agenda is open to the public. This is an opportunity for non-agenda discussion. And we had intended to potentially have a conversation about the integrated agriculture bylaw proposal that did not pass at the last session. My thinking here is that we should defer this conversation as well, partly because I received a note today that Don Posner has resigned from the Planning Commission, so we're we're now down one member. We have two new members. Felt like an appropriate conversation if we were to reconsider it to have when we have a full commission that's a bit more up to speed on the issue.
And
Becky
actually,
Castle's here and
I was
had-
thinking about it like over the last 5 minutes, and I'd rather just talk about it when everybody's here. So I think
Okay.
it's probably better to just table the conversation until Andrew's back.
That's fair.
Replacement.
I think that probably makes the most
Yeah.
sense as well.
Otherwise, we'll just have the same conversation
Agreed.
again, and it was your time.
Agreed.
All right.
Thanks,
great.
Becky.
See you guys.
Thanks.
So that's taking care of 7.
So with that, we will cross off 7 and potentially reconsider that at a future meeting once we have a full commission reassembled. So from there, we move on to our, assuming no other public comment, with nobody in the room, we'll move on to item 6, which is our bulk of the work this evening, which is a comprehensive plan update, a continuation of our discussion of both the vision section as well as the land use section. So we had done a little bit of work at the last meeting on the vision. Dean's included a revised vision statement in the packets that hopefully everybody's had a chance to chew on a little bit and think about. Dean made some annotations, and again, the context on this is that we were sort of hearkening back to, I believe it was what era? Is that-
Pre-2012.
Pre-2012 vision statement that we're trying to reconcile with the current vision statement, and done some work on it. There are some updates in here, some potential edits that reflect comments and suggestions from the previous meeting. And maybe it makes sense to just open up the floor to comments. Anything, Dean, you wanted to?
Well, you saw that I had highlighted one little section, or one sentence at the end of the 3rd paragraph, and I just included a note that I said, is it repetitive, and pointed to a different sentence that dealt with a lot of the same things, so if we're looking to trim it, that might be one place.
Yep.
I actually had a different reaction to that, and I would suggest that perhaps that go up at the beginning of the discussion, and because it seems like a kind of organizing principle that everything else sort of hangs off of. And then I would actually recommend that we just get rid of that whole last paragraph. I think short and concise is
Yeah,
good.
I was sort of struggling with the second the existing, I guess, the last paragraph here didn't seem to flow that well, in my opinion. I don't know if we want to completely abandon it. I'm open to that. There's those 4 concepts in there I think are something we should probably talk about before we abandon it completely. Beyond that, I had a couple just word suggestions or considerations when we reference open lands in the middle paragraph there, or at least the second. I wonder if we should say open space, if we should be consistent with how we're, with terminology, if it means the same thing, maybe it doesn't mean the same thing. I don't know, and I think the open space plan conversation from Monday was just fresh in my mind, and I felt like open space is my preferred reference, but if people like open lands, that's fine. It was more just a question from my end. And then the last sentence really speaks to it speaks to water features. I wonder if we might want to reference and other natural features. I don't know if that was the intention, just to emphasize water features there.
I think if we're looking at a theme where stormwater is a big area of focus in the coming years, I could see logic behind specifically calling out water features that way. But otherwise, I'm not sure I'm particular.
Yeah. Those are just comments I had as I read it. And then the other piece was when we talk about that moderate tax rate, I thought its effort to maintain, it just felt awkward to me. And I know if we say and its moderate tax rate, that may cause other issues or concerns, but it just felt like that effort to maintain felt a little bit awkward, that's all. So I don't know if we delete that reference or, that's all I had.
In the first paragraph, the bottom 2 lines, there's high quality and high quality again. I would get rid of the second high quality, so it just reads sustaining a high quality social, economic, and natural environment and providing public services and facilities at a reasonable cost.
Yeah, I agree.
I wondered about the
What was it?
word.
I'm sorry, just in terms of the editing process, if there could be some clarity about what the edits that the group is actually agreeing
Mhm.
on?
So just strike the
Second
second
high
high
quality.
quality from the last line of the first paragraph.
Yeah, but I guess I
Yeah,
would like some
mine-
signal of, okay, we're doing
Yeah.
this or we're not.
Well,
or-
I don't know, I mean, I put it out there for conversation, we're 5 people here,
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
I think part of it
I
is
think
just
throwing out those things and then just,
getting
if there's consensus,
reactions
we can
and,
formalize it.
yeah, see if we can get consensus on it. It's not solely instructing changes. I think part of it is having the conversation around, are others thinking about it the same way, right?
So you want to, how about we do just a paragraph by paragraph?
Fine.
And we can just throw out comments? I mean, I'm still kind of where I was the last time, where the first paragraph I think is good. I'm not against keeping the additional things for clarity, but while we're talking about that first one, the high quality did stand out to me, being in there twice. I wasn't sure if that was a message or a theme that we were trying to promote in terms of elevating Shelburne in a way, but I'm certainly not opposed to getting rid of the second one because it is repetitive.
We have repetition with the word reasonable, too. And the second line at the end, it says, challenge of accommodating reasonable growth. And is reasonable really defining growth? And I don't know if there's a better word.
Could say smart growth, which is an industry term, isn't it?
Of accommodating reasonable growth.
I was
Dick, you're
thinking
saying
of
you don't,
I was thinking stable growth or
oh,
something, but reasonable growth is kind of subjective. I mean, it depends who's reading it.
Sustainable would go in there well, but then we have sustaining right after it.
yeah.
And the second reasonable, I was thinking more along the lines of affordable. I don't know, affordable cost, but I guess that's subjective too.
Is this where we get stuck on the first paragraph?
That's okay, good comments.
Let's try
Yeah.
to get them right.
Absolutely.
Accommodating sustainable growth. I like that idea. I don't disagree. Reasonable can mean different things to different people.
Do we need, in the first sentence, and others? Shelburne, Vermont will be recognized by residents as an extremely livable community. Why does, and others? This is a vision for the town, by the town, for the town.
Yeah, I mean, I sort of read that as prospects, people who might consider moving to the town.
Or that image of the town, the character that you're
How
trying
about just
to.
recognized and not by anybody in particular, just
Fine with that, too.
That's
just
fair.
recognized as.
I like it.
Yeah. Recognized as an extremely livable, of accommodating reasonable growth. How do people feel about sustainable?
I like sustainable, but then having sustaining right after that, we might want to change that word.
Yep.
Okay.
You could just drop the second sustaining and put a comma in there.
Sustainable
That's
growth.
true.
So we're cutting out reasonable?
We're gonna cut out that first reasonable,
Okay.
or at least it's open for discussion.
Change sustaining to maintain?
Maintaining,
We could just send it to Ann and get it fixed.
Yeah, where's Ann? We need her.
do need to, maintaining.
Knock this into shape in a minute.
So, I'm sorry, did you get rid of the reasonable growth and go with sustainable growth?
I think we're gonna try that.
Okay.
Sustainable growth,
and then
maintaining a high-quality social, economic, and natural environment, and providing public services and facilities at a reasonable cost. TIF's proposal was affordable. How do people feel about at an affordable cost versus reasonable?
I don't know if either one is
I
any better.
think
than the
reasonable
Yeah.
is reasonable.
Okay, well, let's,
Does it make sense to, after "and natural environment," just end the sentence, put a period, and say, "The town will provide public services and facilities at a reasonable cost"? Otherwise, the sentence just becomes very unwieldy. So does that make sense? So after social, economic, and natural environment, period, the town will provide, outstanding public services and facilities at a reasonable cost, or whatever we determine is the appropriate.
Shorter sentences can be good. So I think
yeah,
Yeah, so you'd have
so
And
period after
maintaining.
environment,
a high quality and then period
Yeah.
after environment.
yeah. The town will provide what was the word? Outstanding,
You
exceptional?
could say top-notch public services and facilities.
The town will provide,
There's some other synonyms.
how about high caliber?
Yeah. And
High
say,
caliber
just say,
public
for,
services.
public services and facilities for all residents to enjoy. Forget about the cost, because what's reasonable to one person is extremely unreasonable to another. Just say for all residents to enjoy.
Or for its residents?
Yeah, something.
Are we being exclusionary if we're saying it's just for residents? Or if we're isolating residents?
I think that's what we're working for.
The cost, when it references at a reasonable cost, that's just taxes, correct? Or is it sort of trying to get at fees or
I think
something
it's,
else?
I think
Is
it's.
it all the
like-
above?
I think it is primarily thought of the burden on the
The
taxpayer.
tax burden, yeah.
Or the user, not strictly speaking taxes.
Town will provide high caliber public services and facilities. To its residents.
I mean,
I don't think it's a terrible thing to kind of indicate something about being thoughtful about the cost of these things. Because that is
Yeah.
something that our select board
What if
sort of,
we
campaigns on,
Call it
basically.
conservative costs.
And you're talking about things that are sometimes accessed by non-residents, like, somebody comes to the museum or the farms and they may stay for a
Yeah.
weekend and they may go to the library if it's rainy or something, and so it's not limited to residents, and it could be something that would be for the general, just in terms of providing something that's high quality that people can access, or high caliber.
How about something like the town will support, was there something in here about support sense of community by providing high caliber public services and facilities? Something like that. So there's a purpose to what this is for, that we're staying upfront there's a connection that we see between,
The town will reinforce its sense of community by providing public service, by providing high caliber. No?
or, yeah,
The town will,
and enhance, what did you say,
Enhance.
enhance,
I said-
Reinforce, you said
reinforce?
You said support, Kate.
Oh, okay,
You
I
I
like support.
how about enhance?
Enhance.
Let's go with enhance.
The town will enhance,
Sense of community.
Mhm.
yeah.
Sense of
by
community,
providing high caliber public services and facilities.
yes. And we'll do so at a reasonable cost or something like that. Does that make sense?
We'll
Yeah.
aim to do so,
Aim to do so at a reasonable cost, yeah,
can't guarantee it.
yeah.
Yep.
So, yeah, but it's like, we talk about it, that's our goal. We have to be able to afford what we're
Right.
doing. It gets to
Maybe we
that.
don't need to mention costs at all.
Well, I too agree with Kate that I think we should have some,
What's happening?
is there a flood?
I-
Some consideration of cost here?
The words in a fiscally responsible manner cross my mind, but then I'm not sure if this happens to you all, but I'm hesitating a lot because I think of a word and then I pause because I think of the 17 different arguments that could say, well, that could be taken this way or that could be exploited that way.
Yeah.
Mhm.
My concern if we don't reference some kind of cost is that the expectation might be
We'll trigger the
public
select board.
services
Yeah,
all day long
right. Yeah.
at the community as well, which
One of the things
isn't
that the
reality.
plan does later on is that it talks about the importance of having this balance between growth and the services that exist, because you don't want that new growth to
Right.
increase the costs.
Yeah.
overburden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's see, public services and facilities. It's almost like we want to get at, we're doing this thoughtfully, right? We're doing this in a thoughtful way. We're providing these services. So like a great deal of thought went into establishing the sewer service district.
Mhm.
And, more recently, kind of calibrating bicycle and pedestrian infrastructure to specific parts of the town, where they're, to guide how that happens. So it's, I get to that.
The town could thoughtfully enhance the sense of community by providing public services and facilities at a reasonable cost.
So maybe it's good the way it is.
Mhm.
Marianne, do you mind repeating what you have?
Well, do you want the thoughtfully in there? It's from the
Yeah,
start,
just-
Shelburne, Vermont will be recognized as an extremely livable community that is and will continue to meet the challenges of accommodating sustainable growth and maintaining a high-quality social, economic, and natural environment. The town will enhance the sense of community by providing high-caliber public services and facilities and aim to do so at a reasonable cost. But you could put thoughtfully enhance. That's what Jason just said. Or we'll continue to thoughtfully enhance.
I like it how it is.
I'd ditch costs.
I think my hope or my expectation is that we may come back, may keep this in front of us for a number of sections, so I'm okay if if we stew on this for a little bit and look at a revised draft and continue to make changes and edit it, so let's
Okay.
go to the
Good-
next
good enough for now.
paragraph. Paragraph 2. How do we feel about any other changes, suggestions? I threw out open space as opposed to open lands, but I'm
I like the consistency of
fine
that.
with either.
Why don't we just go
Open
to the
space.
town will feature a compact and get rid of that? I think we've kind of implied that in our first paragraph.
What chunk do you want, Con?
Just that first sentence, in the mid-21st century,
Yeah,
Shelburne
that,
will
that
be a
sentence
place.
also very tortured language.
Yeah,
It is.
I
Where
don't
will be a
disagree.
place where,
so maybe you could say in the mid-21st century, the town will feature, blah, blah, blah. Just get rid of that.
yeah. keep that first. The town will feature, okay.
So then go right to the second sentence.
Yeah, we'll say in the mid-21st century, comma, the town will feature a compact and prominent village center.
Another thing, just an observation about open lands versus open space is that those two sentences kind of play off each other. The second one dealing with the land in the town, and the third dealing with the waters in the town. But people were, it seemed like people weren't sure, well, are we talking about just, are we giving some undue, are we elevating water unnecessarily? And I think it was just an attempt to have the land and the water dealt with as the two primary pieces of the town.
Mhm. How about, the town will have worked proactively to protect the important, visual and
Important what's?
important visual and physical qualities of its land assets, including water, its water features such as Shelburne Pond, the La Platte River, and Lake Champlain.
Natural assets?
Mhm.
Well, but you want land in there? Or we want?
Scenic and natural assets, maybe. Because view sheds, that.
Yeah, no, I agree. I
Gets
like
view
that.
sheds
Yeah.
and sort of
The
everything.
visual piece of
Yeah.
its scenic and natural assets. Including its water feature, wait,
There's
including,
water features of Shelburne Pond, Lake, the Platte River, and Lake Champlain. Okay, so then are you going right from, so prominent village center first surrounded by residential neighborhoods? So you're keeping all that and then just going right to the town will have worked proactively to protect the important visual and physical qualities of its scenic and natural assets, including its water features of Shelburne Pond, the Platte River, and Lake Champlain.
Mhm.
Okay.
right. It's paragraph 2. Going. Paragraph 3.
So just clarifying, was open lands changed to open space?
I didn't have it changed.
Sorry, where does that, oh, here, okay. Diverse mixture of open, I would say open lands.
Open lands, you like better?
Open space is like, means nothing, really. Sorry, don't mean to be.
We don't have an open land
disparaging.
fund.
I know, we,
I'd like to get 10 people, I'd like to get 5 people in a room to agree what open space means.
Fair.
3 people?
Yeah, I kind of like.
It means there's not a building in front of your face.
Right.
But we have an open
That's
space
probably
plan.
the closest, I think I would
Okay.
agree on that.
Open lands, we'll leave that. Paragraph 3.
What do people think is the point of paragraph 3?
I think
Before we start breaking it apart.
Promotes growth and manages the impacts of growth,
Okay.
which I think,
Yeah.
why don't we just say that right off the bat?
well, that's because that's what I wrote last night when I was reading.
Yeah, why don't we just, that's clearer,
Yeah.
and then we
But
talk
I
about
don't
how we're
like
gonna do that.
That's what it's doing. I don't know that we need to force ourselves into a growth mentality just because that's where the push is. Maybe we need to develop, maybe we don't have to develop just for the sake of developing. And that seems to me that's what this paragraph says.
Is there a
Yeah,
way-
no,
Is there a way we could shift it with kind of using a part of paragraph 4, which kind of underscores that we are part of the greater Burlington area, which is the growth engine of Vermont, and as such, we are going to grow in a smart fashion as a result of our location and in relation to Burlington?
I think we should grow
That
at
works
our
for me.
own, at our own speed. That we shouldn't allow greater Burlington to determine how fast we're gonna grow or how much.
Well, I don't think that's what Perry was saying, but I think he was acknowledging that we, like it or not, have to respond to the growth pressures that come as a result of our proximity to Burlington. And then I think it goes on to say, you know, this is how we're going to respond to that.
Yeah, I had jotted down after, in the last, not last sentence, the as in the past sentence at the end where it says negative impacts of growth. I added while promoting smart growth principles to help guide future growth.
So I like
So that you
including
have
smart
this,
growth.
you have this negative, you know, minimize and manage negative impacts, but knowing there will be growth, we also want to promote, how do we want the growth to?
Smart growth.
Right, while promoting smart growth principles to help guide future growth. Just to balance that out.
That should be the guiding principle, I think, is smart growth.
And there is a distinction between sustainable and smart.
Yeah, and I think they're both good, though. Yeah.
I mean, I just look at it as, when we moved here a year ago, it was, you drove south through South Burlington and you saw these properties that had like house after house after house after house, and then it's like, you got across the line and it was open fields, and it was like, this is Shelburne. And so I think it's that question of, I think not the view, what's the word I'm looking for, kind of when you think of this town as a resident, you think of it very differently than you would have if you were a resident of South Burlington in terms of the density. And so I echo what you're trying to say, which is, how do we maintain that, knowing that there is going to be some level of population influx to the town, which the state, as Dean and I spoke about last week, is projecting under 1% growth every year for the next 37 years, which is nothing.
Yep.
I mean, it's not nothing, it's just a very slow climb up.
Right, but
Did we ever measure the accuracy of their projections?
Well, they've been wrong for the first decade of the 21st century. They thought it was gonna be much higher than it was.
But Shelburne, I don't know if you saw that Art Wolf column like 2 weeks ago, but
Okay.
Shelburne was the second.
I saw it, and now you want me to remember it?
No, Shelburne, again, the second fastest growing town in the state.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at short periods of time, we have
Population-wise. Yeah.
the jump because of Harrington Village.
Right.
Yeah, we had a big
Mhm.
Yeah.
project for us.
So was that percentage-wise or numbers?
I think it was percentage.
Yeah, I think it was. That would be the basis on which
Yeah.
we.
But anyway, I think the point is, yes, the growth is happening and will continue to happen. And how do we manage that, right? Dick, to your point, like, in order to maintain that pattern that you mentioned when you cross the border,
So is that
I
the
think
only-
promoting smart growth principles is probably,
Smart and sustainable growth.
Well, we do have that in the first paragraph.
So is that your only edit to the third paragraph, is to insert
I-
that?
I don't know, I'm throwing it out there for the commission to think about. I mean, there had been one proposal to just rewrite it completely and say what Dick said in 10 words maybe, or do we try to tweak this? And I had just suggested if we want to keep it and tweak it. In addition to negative, let's talk about a positive and how we want that to happen.
So what we're responding to is pressures to grow, right? Not the fact of growth happening regionally, but the pressure to grow. What does that affect on us? Isn't that what we're really supposed to be trying to articulate? And doing this by, we need to articulate how we're going to do that, which is this, where the smart growth method comes in, right?
Yep.
So,
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. And keep in mind, it's not just residential growth, right? It's commercial growth as well, so there's a
And that
grand list
goes back
element to it.
smart
There
growth,
are,
which is telling us to use the corridor.
yeah, exactly.
so that would seem to suggest taking a very thoughtful approach about where we want the growth to be located and the pattern that we want to assign to it.
And the pace and the location are in that already.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And the long-term question is, are we gonna keep doing this for 50 years or 100 years? Or are we gonna continue to look for growth as an engine? Or doesn't that eventually change us to South Burlington if we keep doing that, or Burlington?
To some degree.
But does that have to happen, I guess, is my question. But when do we gain sustainability as a community?
Yeah, it's a good question.
When there's more than 2.1 births per every person that passes, so that you have a natural rate of replacement. I'm serious. That's how you get to where it's sustainable. But it's writing something in that says, like, while retaining the character of the town, you know, you just get to a point where you basically make it very hard to build anything that isn't an existing structure that you're repurposing, or, you know, it just gets to the point where there's no more place to build.
Yeah, I think Dick's point is one of scale, right? It's how big is enough.
And
It's a
to
good
some
question to
degree,
think about.
It is a good question. We do have the growth areas radiating out from the village, though, and we've got a lot of stuff to talk about with land use and how we want any development in the rural district to occur. So I think as long as we keep mentioning the smart approaches and sustainable and that sort of thing, that sets that theme, and then the commission over the years would then work within those themes.
Right, it's probably gonna be those future commissions that will
That would have that
determine
problem.
when that
Yeah, absolutely.
point comes.
I agree. Which is why I like the idea of just anchoring it in this, promoting smart growth principles to help guide future growth, and
And we could say as measured by success in 4 critical areas.
yeah.
Balance, growth, residential and business, conservation of culture, history and land, environmental stewardship, and successful integration of the town into the larger regional community.
So are you blending that third one into the
Mhm.
fourth and cutting stuff out of the fourth?
Mhm.
So are we taking the top half of the first one, or the fourth one down?
Yeah, so where does the as measured by success in 4 critical areas tie into?
Well, just the smart, you know, how, I think it's important to not just say we want to
Right, but where in
follow
the
smart
document?
growth, but.
Yeah, we were saying, so after that, negative impacts of growth, while promoting smart growth principles to help guide future growth as measured by success in 4 critical areas. 1, residential and business growth. That's what Kate was
Okay, so.
thinking
okay,
about,
Mhm.
Yeah,
I think.
Yes.
So the question is, do we feel okay getting rid of that 4th paragraph, the bulk of it we talked about? We already talked about. What we're
Isn't
doing.
this section, this top part of the paragraph, the section that this historic sites group is writing the history? Should that be,
this particular paragraph?
well, that same vein?
Well, the Historical Society has offered material and will modify things like the history that's in this document to go into a history section.
Okay.
But that wasn't, they aren't writing the vision.
So are we
How do you-
replacing, as in the past, careful and thoughtful planning with smart growth principles?
I thought that it was edited to be, as in the past, careful and thoughtful planning will enable the town to minimize and manage the negative impacts of growth while promoting smart growth principles to help
Yeah.
guide future
Okay.
growth.
Yeah, as measured by.
As measured by,
Yeah.
blah, 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 blah. I mean,
Okay.
it might be nice to break that into
Maybe,
smaller bites, but,
yeah. But let's just get it down for now, and then we can
yeah.
edit. In this last paragraph, there is this notion of diversity that pops up a couple times. I don't know, having not been on this commission to draft that on the last go-around, I wonder what, if anyone recalls the conversation there, the diverse interests. This diversity will manifest in cohesive business community.
I think this was a lot of the work that came about at the select board. So I don't know that there's much that planning commissioners can describe
Yeah.
as part of their discussion.
So they had wordsmithed a lot of the vision. Okay.
Well, this is a lot of stuff that was added by the select board.
Got it.
I think diverse and diversity are good words to have in these
Mm-hmm.
sort of things, and we don't really have that.
Yeah, we
anywhere
don't.
Without reading into it.
Yeah, we talk about a diverse economy. I like the attractive working landscape reference. That's sort of a hallmark of Shelburne to me.
How about putting that up in the middle paragraph? A diverse mixture of open lands, working lands, and natural areas?
Working landscapes.
Mhm.
Where would you put that?
Up in the second paragraph. It's kind of a description of a rural area, a diverse mixture of open lands, working landscape, and natural area.
Yeah,
And then if
I
we,
like that.
if we put working landscapes in there and then we follow that up with, you know, scenic and conservation and protection
Yeah.
of natural resources, that's like implying that farming is gonna be happening in a way that meets those criterias.
So can someone recap that?
Yeah, we're still kind of working through it, but Kate's suggestion was in the second paragraph where we talk about open lands.
Yep.
After that, add working landscapes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, as we're talking through this, I'm sort of wondering, do we, in this last paragraph, we do specifically reference conserved? So I would like to continue that somewhere, and maybe it's conserve and protect, but I don't know if that's going too far. That might be going too far, but
You crossed the line, Jimmy.
this idea of conserving is important, in my opinion, not,
It
and
is.
protecting means different things to different people. Conserved is a much tighter definition, although as we saw, that means there are a lot of different levels of conservation, so.
So Jane, you're talking
I-
about adding conserve in that
Yeah, I'm putting it out for the group to think about. Do any others feel,
Protect and conserve? Mm-hmm, I think it's important.
So a diverse mixture of open lands, working landscape, and what?
Natural areas, period. I don't know.
open lands, working landscapes, and natural areas. The town will have worked proactively to protect and conserve.
Maybe should be conserve and protect.
I'm fine with either. As long as I get conserve in there, conserve and protect.
Mhm. And in the, I can't remember who said that diversity was important. What if that gets snuck into the third paragraph? So the one,
Mm-hmm.
while promoting smart growth principles to achieve a diverse economy or something?
Well, we said principles to help guide future growth as measured by, maybe we just add another
Growth and
sentence
diversity.
there. As
Yeah.
measured by growth.
Diverse growth? How about diverse growth? Because smart growth really is all
Yeah.
about mixing and,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and
Yeah,
Okay, that gets that done.
Diverse growth and success in 4 critical areas?
no.
Diverse economy is what
As
we're
measured
shooting
by
for.
success in 4 critical areas. 1, diverse growth,
Oh, okay.
or do you want to say diverse residential and business growth?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, diverse residential and business growth.
okay. And what's 2?
Conservation of culture, history, and land,
And then environmental stewardship?
environmental stewardship, and successful integration of the town into a larger regional community, period. All right,
Okay,
did we pick up all the themes here?
I think we have a working
I
vision
think we have a
statement.
good
I think I get it,
Edit
and then
here?
the rest of that fourth paragraph is gone.
Check.
out the
Yeah,
window, for the time being.
Yeah,
All right, good work, team. That was time well spent. Sorry, it can be a little painful, as we will experience here doing this on the fly, but the vision statement is important and anchors a lot of what we're doing, so. Land use.
so I think I was supposed to kind of spearhead this one, and I've taken a first stab at that. It seemed to me that it would be nice to add a bit more language about vision and intent, emphasizing character and form, rather than mix of uses and things like that. It would make it a little bit more engaging to read. So, let's see, I've just taken kind of a first run at this, but, the overriding intention in Shelburne is that the pattern of land uses should create and or reinforce a compact, prominent village center, and I wanted to say connected to surrounding residential neighborhoods. And
Mhm.
then by rural areas featuring lower density development and a diverse mix of open and working lands and natural areas. Just to
I like it.
be a little bit more descriptive about what we're going for.
Yep.
Um,
I deleted overriding intention in Shelburne and thought we would just begin with the pattern of land use in Shelburne
that works.
should create.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, what you start with?
I'm suggesting we delete the overriding intention in Shelburne as that and just say the pattern of land uses in Shelburne.
Do we even need to say in Shelburne?
No,
Right?
don't.
Just say
Yeah.
that the pattern of land uses should
should
create
create
and
and/or,
reinforce.
because it is titled Land Use in Shelburne.
yes,
Yes.
this Shelburne. Should create, Perry, you're saying delete
That's,
/or
well, yeah, just say
and reinforce
yeah,
a compact and prominent village center
I wouldn't say first
connected
surrounded.
to surrounding residential neighborhoods, right?
Mhm. Yes, connected to surrounding.
Rural lands featuring lower density.
And then by rural
Rural areas featuring.
areas featuring lower density development and a diverse mixture of open lands. I like that. That's tighter. That's good.
Okay.
So 3 primary areas.
Do we need
I'll let you take
reflecting
this.
this fundamental vision at all? Like, just say the land use section is divided into 3 primary areas.
Yep.
So you're getting rid of reflecting this fundamental vision, capital T, the land use section, get rid of this town plan. The land use section is divided into 3 primary areas. And I don't think you need to say which is the center of the town's growth area. It's just Shelburne Village Growth Area 1. The growth area beyond Shelburne Village Growth Area 2. And number 3 is the surrounding rural areas.
One of our goals is to cut.
Huh?
One of our goals is to cut.
Yep.
Just sort of clarifies too.
think Perry is the new Anne.
The growth area beyond Shelburne Village and the surrounding, yeah.
Anne was our editor.
I was a copy
And-
editor.
Oh, you were a copy editor? Oh,
Well, for when I was in high school for the newspaper. Yeah.
oh, perfect.
Yes,
I just-
we needed a new N. All right, so, Kate, I'll let you drive it.
Let's see. Town's growth area. Okay.
So is the basic overarching kind of goal of this paragraph to basically say the growth of the town is a function of the sewer service area?
Yeah, that's how I read it.
So the growth of the town is a function of the sewer service area as designated in map 1, map 2, map 3, map whatever it is. I just feel like this is very convoluted, this paragraph.
It's the sewer service area determines
The perimeter.
how the town can grow.
It contains the growth area.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I wanted to say, when we talk about compact development is to be encouraged, and I thought a little bit more information, compact development, perhaps something like meaning walkable, connected pattern of development, something like that, just to be, because we do reference that in other sections, later sections of the town plan, which of course we just amended.
I like that. So you're saying parenthetical, meaning a walkable, or comma, however we want to say it.
Something like that, yeah, and I wasn't, I.
Meaning a walkable,
Mhm.
connected pattern
Um,
of development.
Or, compact development, described as, or, yeah, or meaning, or something like that.
Okay, so, I'm sorry, I'm trying to keep up. Are you getting?
So, well, I'm still in the fourth paragraph, and you jump down now to the sentence that starts from the side, and particularly in the village segment of it, comma, compact development, parentheses, meaning a walkable, connected pattern of development is to be encouraged. Is that where that gets inserted? Okay. And otherwise, the paragraph, the planning areas map 1, nothing changed on that one? Third paragraph at one sentence?
Planning areas map 1. I would just get rid of shows how the town, I would say the planning areas map 1 depicts the town divided into these 3 basic land use areas, unless people have a problem with depicts.
So did we start
Or-
off with the future growth in the town is directed and defined as the area, or what, how, you had some great way of
Well-
saying it, didn't you?
The growth of the town is a function of the sewer service area as designated in map X.
Okay, okay, good.
So is that the fourth paragraph? Is that how it starts?
Yes,
Okay.
uh-huh.
So what
That's
is
right,
the
yeah.
map that you're talking about?
Sewer service area, is it?
I think we still should reference the ordinance.
Yeah, so-
Most people don't know that.
So if you got rid of that on the first 2 lines, just said the town's growth area is defined as the
Yeah.
area currently designated to be served by the municipal sewer system under the town sewer allocation ordinance,
Mhm.
period.
And then the growth area is divided into 2 sections, growth area 1
And growth area
and growth area 2.
Right.
So you don't want encompassing?
Yeah, no, I like that.
Keep
That's
that
okay.
Compact
And then maybe
development.
the growth areas will feature compact development, meaning a walkable, connected pattern of development.
Yeah,
However, not without due regard to conservation of exceptional natural resources. So that we're not,
Got that?
we're not singling out, I mean, the expectation is that everywhere,
Could you read that again?
Yeah.
The growth areas will feature compact development, meaning a walkable, connected pattern of development,
Mhm. Unless there's a, yeah.
but not without due regard to conservation of exceptional natural resources.
So you're getting rid of it is the town's position.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Right up to that, and then you're just starting with the growth areas will feature compact development, okay.
Yep. And getting rid of it is to be encouraged.
Next part of this section of the town plan presents goals, objectives, and recommended actions to achieve the vision of a compact and prominent, oh, that's a good word, prominent village
Prominent
center.
village center.
Um,
Growth area 1, okay. Subsequent parts will address the remainder of the growth area. Growth area 2, and then the outlying rural.
How about if we just say, blah, 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 achieve the vision of a compact and prominent village center, comma, growth area 1, comma, growth area 2, and the outlying rural areas. Or am I oversimplifying? I think that's okay to do.
And are you keeping the next part of this section of the town plan presents, you're keeping that first sentence, starting that paragraph, was that sentence or no?
I think so.
Okay.
I didn't like it when I read it, but it says what it means.
Yeah,
Yeah,
be a little redundant, but
we can polish it as we
Yeah.
go. At least it's, hangs together fairly well.
So you basically, on that last one, you got rid of subsequent parts? Is that what was happening?
Yes,
So that's basically one, so we have one sentence?
yes.
Okay.
So prominent village center, comma, get rid of the IE, growth area 1, comma, growth area 2, comma, and then the outlying rural areas.
Got it. And did we, on that third paragraph, we didn't take out that sentence, did we? I think
Which
that-
sentence?
I think we were still talking in terms of 3 basic land use. I think, to be consistent, we should say primary, if we didn't say that already.
I'm sorry,
yeah, we kept that, right?
The planning areas map 1 depicts the town divided into these 3 basic
land use.
land use areas.
Yeah.
Right.
You think it should be primary?
Well, if we want to be consistent with, we use 3 primary areas in the preceding paragraph.
Makes sense.
Oh, so change primary. Everywhere you see basic, change primary, like a global thing.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Page 7.
Okay. All right.
I'm not a
This-
huge fan of that goal as phrased.
Continues to function as a center of. What don't you like about it?
The construct. I feel like by the time I got to the end and you see supporting government offices that is lasting and does not limit, I wonder, well, what is it that's lasting? And I went back up to read, like it's just, it doesn't flow very well.
Could be 2 goals or 3.
That's going the wrong way, Dean.
Well, no, just cut it into pieces. I mean,
Right.
the one thing that does constrain the format is, I think with one exception, the different pieces of the plan get limited to one goal, but that means tortured language.
Mm-hmm.
If you were willing to, maybe the first thing to do is to split it into pieces and then edit the pieces, and you'll end up with fewer words.
What do you mean by pieces?
Well, this goal for growth area 1 has just many, many elements.
Yeah.
So if you put a period after vitality and say, goal, the village will contain a diverse mixture of residences, and period.
Break it
and then
down.
Just break it apart, because
Yeah.
it's,
Do we even need that do we even need that? Can't we just end it at cultural vitality, period? And then,
well,
to-
and yes, by cutting it in pieces,
Yeah.
you say, which are the most important parts? And well, that first one is the most important part.
yeah, because
I
this,
agree.
it sort of doesn't, I don't know, it
It's
doesn't.
surplus, isn't it?
Yeah.
To me, it's sort of,
Yeah, I would suggest that we just take that out.
So you're ending at vitality.
Yes, period.
Oh, I
You like
think you
that?
could even, well, I think you could even go further and just ended it after religious facilities. Unless there's a need
well,
to
she's
say
saying
that.
ended at vitality.
Which is a sentence or two up.
No, yeah,
You're saying keep,
yeah. Well, I guess the question I would pose is, do we need to specify that government is in the village center in the goal?
As a
We-
center of economic, social, how about civic? Just throw in civic in there.
Ah, there you go.
Economic, civic, social, and cultural vitality, and then we're done. We can get rid of that.
What if we kept containing a diverse mixture of residences and business?
But don't we get into that in the lower down? We kind of explain. It's just,
Yeah, we do.
we just sort of say the same things,
Oh,
it
okay.
seems over and over.
Well, if you wanted to do it in two steps, one step is to put a period after facilities, lop off the government offices and use civic in that list like you just did. If you want to go further, then take it after cultural vitality, period.
Yeah, the thing that just stood out to me was that, and supporting government offices line. Because the is referred back to the diverse mixture, I believe.
yeah, I like ending it at vitality.
Yeah,
It's more concise.
just throw in civic. And
Economic, civic, social.
and then we sort of explain what we
Yeah.
mean by that a little further on, so this is broad brush.
That's fair.
Okay. Let's see.
So edit it that way, period after vitality, okay?
And
Please.
add civic before social?
Yeah.
um, So I was kind of wondering, like, could we just have something like, I don't know, instead of having kind of a narrative about the references, could we just cite it as a reference or something? You know, reference materials or important reference studies or something like that, and then just kind of list them, bullet them.
We call them historical initiatives and then just list them.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, ORW, landscape architects and planner, you know, it just seems, you know, who cares who did these things?
The only, in my mind, the only significance of tying things back to the 88 plan is that's where this scheme came from.
Yeah.
That's all.
Oh, no, I'm not saying to chuck it out, but I'm just saying, maybe just say,
In the appendix.
Yeah,
foundational, what was it?
foundational documents.
Foundational reference documents or something like that, you know, or, I don't know, it just, we're in the interest of,
Making it more readable.
yeah, get rid
Yeah.
of, just the 1988 Shelburne Village Plan and the June 2006 update of the village plan, and then just, you know, get rid of, who did them.
The Truex degree.
Yeah.
So tell me how it should read, tell me what you keep it. The 1988 Shelburne Village Plan and the June 2006 update of the Shelburne Village Plan.
Yeah, and then why don't we just say for now, provide the foundation for,
Mm.
objectives and recommended actions.
Period.
And are incorporated into this plan by reference. But just for now as a placeholder, that's just because I can't think of how to say
Yeah,
that.
no, I agree.
Yeah,
You can just sketch it out now, and we can worry about how it
Mhm.
flows
Yeah.
later. Even you do a footnote, right, just to, if you want the detail on
Yeah, this,
authorship
it'll
or
totally could
attribution, you can just,
become a
Have a list.
footnote or
right,
something.
yeah, make it cleaner.
Yeah. Okay.
But okay, so those identified 5 distinct sections.
Mhm.
Careful review has resulted in a modification.
Is there a need legally or otherwise to say that although this is based on the 88 Shelburne Village Plan and the 2006 update, that there were modifications done to that, to the delineation of the 5? Or is it or would it be good enough to say that the 88 plan and the 2006 update guided the?
Is the attribution even important? Can we just say, the village is subdivided into 5 distinct sections? The village, the village area, and then just, we've already said that, these are these guidance documents.
Yeah, I don't think you have to repeat it. It's, the 88 plan provides the basis, the update doesn't. So the 2006 document, that is not the source of the individual sub-areas. So that's just one point of clarification. But if you got rid of that paragraph, you could just say that you could go straight to the list of sub-areas.
Yeah, I was just wondering, does it have to be attributed? Does anybody really care?
Well, in a certain type of plan, it would be, but not in the kind of
Okay.
plan that you're trying to write now.
Okay.
You could still add a footnote or a citation or.
Yeah, why don't we handle that just by a
Yeah, I like that.
a
You may have some
yeah,
planning geeks that want to
yeah.
dig into it.
Okay. 5 sections, and I don't, important to say that there are 5 subsections, and and this is for reasons to do with, they've each have a different or distinct character, something about that, so there's a reference to the form and character of each place.
Yeah,
I just
mean,
like the
that-
idea of, stating that the village is a place of some complexity.
Character districts.
Character districts or something, yeah, I know, I'm not sure what the best way to say that is, but it was,
No, I
just
get what you're
seemed-
saying, though. Just say what the average reader would understand it to be, right?
yeah, yeah.
Okay, so there are 5 subsections with different characteristics.
There you go, great,
Right?
perfect, yeah.
And here are the 5.
Mhm.
These sections are shown on map 2 and are briefly identified below.
So the village is represented by 5 distinct districts with different characteristics,
Mhm.
or distinct sections with different characteristics?
Okay, so
Is defined by,
Is
by 5 distinct sections or subsections is defined by 5, what? With
What do you think, Dick? What would you call them?
distinct sections with different characteristics.
I don't know.
We say sub-area in all of these. I don't know if that sounds a little weird to me.
it sounds so
Doesn't it?
unappealing, doesn't it?
Yeah, it sounds
Subsections,
so,
it's like, part of a,
Academic,
yeah. It's
sub-area.
defined by, the village is, or how about the village is characterized
By 5.
by 5 distinct,
Distinct.
sub-area, no, I'll go back to that sub-areas. It's character,
Districts.
yeah, districts, yeah.
Yeah, let's go with districts,
Okay.
and if we get,
5 distinct districts
Mm-hmm.
say that 5 times fast.
with different characterized by 5 distinct districts, the sections are shown on map 2.
The location of the sections or something like that. And then, because I think that does a pretty good job of describing them.
Yeah, it does.
Village center is the dense, mixed-use area surrounding the Shelburne, contains most of the village businesses, Triangle Village. I would use kind of loftier language. The village center is, like the civic heart of the village or something like that. It contains the historic green, the parade ground, something along those lines. The civic offices, the municipal offices. It's a place where, to convey, this is where we hold our farmers market, we do our Memorial Day celebrations, those important kind of cultural functions that's where they're held. I don't think it's too cheesy to refer to it as the heart of the
No, I like
town.
Isn't that what
Yeah.
they call the inn?
It is. I was thinking that too.
Thinking what?
The
Isn't
inn,
that the name of the
part
inn?
the village.
Oh, yeah, it's good, that's right.
The heart.
The thing is even called that, yeah.
I wouldn't use the word civic there, though, because then you get back up into what we talked about, economic, civic, social, and cultural.
Yeah.
wouldn't
You want to say
just single it out.
ceremonial or something, or public,
Just saying it's, well, the idea that it is the heart of the village, it is. It's the center of the village.
why don't we just say is the heart of the village? The village center is, in all regards, the heart of the village or
You could
something?
say the geographic and cultural.
There you go,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wait, say again, the last bit.
Geographic and cultural. Heart.
So the village center is the geographic and cultural heart of the village
Mhm.
and contains the historic green, the parade grounds, the municipal offices. Oh, no, you didn't want that.
Or the municipal, I don't know,
Town hall.
like it's, it's the whole
The town center.
complex. It's the town center, it's the
Municipal
library,
town
it's the
center.
Mhm.
offices, it's the fire department, it's all that
Will you tell me which one is that?
stuff. Yeah, I don't know, what's municipal complex sounds,
Municipal
Horrible.
town
Doesn't it?
center.
yeah, sounds like,
Sounds like complex.
So are you you're
Municipal.
rewriting that first bullet to say the village center is the geographic and cultural heart of the village, containing the historic green, the parade grounds, the municipal town center, period?
Recreation.
and many of the town's important public buildings, I would say. Because the salt shed is a public building, but that's not something we celebrate.
Important, okay.
Um,
I like it.
Yeah, the institutional museum sub-area, that sounds like a place you would never go to willingly, doesn't it?
Really does.
You will
The
now go to the
institutional
institutional
slash- can we-
museum
can
sub-area.
we-
It never gets referred to as
What is
institutional, so call it a
institutional?
museum.
Yeah.
Let's call it the
It's
museum.
Museum
That's-
district, yeah.
Institutional.
Yeah, that just sounds, the museum
Take a Morgan
district,
horse.
Yeah, the
Out of
museum
that.
district, that sounds
that's much
That sounds
better.
much more high-end,
Yeah.
doesn't it?
I think it's
It's located west of Shelburne Road, south of Church, and is primarily made up of the Shelburne Museum. Good,
Yeah,
that's what it is,
okay.
right?
So you just said.
We just
We
said
just rebranded it.
Yeah, we did.
called it the museum district.
on the fly.
Is located west of,
Yeah.
and that's
Yes.
it, and then you keep the rest, okay?
Mhm.
Mhm.
The village residential district
Yeah, let's get rid of this sub-area business,
Yeah.
that just is so horrible.
is a predominantly residential, mostly to the south of the village center, extending east on both sides of Falls Road. West of the railroad tracks along.
How about it also extends, instead of there is also a section of,
Yeah. It also extends to an area west.
Shelburne Falls bullet,
Mhm.
it shouldn't say is the historic cluster of dwellings, it should say is the cluster of historic dwellings, or just get rid of historic,
Yes,
because the
I
cluster is
agree.
not historic.
The Shelburne Falls
District.
District
Yeah.
Was the original village center? Or historic village center? Was historically, I don't know, something, let's say, because we
Mhm.
started off as a mill, you know, so
Yep.
it started off.
Several mills.
Yeah, so there's some, it's important. Was historically the village's center?
Or, well, was the original.
Or the original, yeah, there you go, was the.
Was the original village center and features a cluster of historic dwellings and small businesses on both sides of the Little Platte. Right?
Mm-hmm.
You all right with that, Dick?
Yeah, I don't think there's really much for business there anymore.
Well, we
Well,
just approved
Right.
a bylaw change that might
So we got
I was
one.
gonna say that
Give
isn't
the
really-
deli a
Resuscitate
shot
a business.
for the third
shut in the
attempt.
arm.
There's still
Yeah.
some businesses in the
Some
CEA
in-home-
building.
in-home businesses.
Right, but,
Yeah.
I mean, the CEA building isn't empty.
No,
Features
I
a
think just
cluster
mostly
of historic.
I mean, it's been trying to sell it forever.
I think it's residential mostly.
So let's do this, folks.
I
Let's
think so.
keep going until 9 and see how far we can get through the growth area
Okay.
1. I don't think we'll get beyond that. But if we get through growth area 1, that's pretty good.
Oh, compared to how tortuous this has been in years previous, yes.
The Village Conservation District consists of other conserved lands such as the former Elkins property.
Hey,
I like that. I don't think we need to
Elkins
change much,
property.
other than the district. Sub-area becomes district.
Another government problem from developing that parcel.
Is it the
50
Shelburne
years.
Falls district was the original or is the original village center?
Was, right?
Was, I'd say was, because it's
Yeah.
not really anymore, yeah.
Okay.
well, it
The
still is the original. That didn't change.
Yeah, but it's
the
not the
word that came out
center
earlier
anymore, right?
was.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. That is a weird one.
Didn't we say was the?
we did.
Is,
Says
I
is.
guess it still is. The
Oh.
original Village Center.
I mean,
guess, was,
I wrote down was, so I'll call myself out. But I'm
what do you
just-
think?
I'm course correcting and thinking that technically
I
it still
mean,
is
it
the
wasn't
original.
the original, I mean, it still is the original. If you took original out and just had village center, it was the village center.
Right.
It is still the original village center.
So let's go with is.
Bingo.
Okay,
And we're done with page 7.
And we are moving
I
on.
know.
I do have one comment, and if I'm the
We are
only one, I'm
correct.
No, fire it off.
cool with it, is that
Yes.
the order of these things don't match the order of them on the map.
Yeah, we'll fix,
Oh.
that's easy.
That can be fixed, okay.
Let's reflect that order
So,
per
reflecting.
Jason's comment.
Oh, yeah, and they need to not be called sub-areas.
Yeah, we don't like sub-area. We're gonna,
We're going with the much more
Rebrand here.
upscale district terminology.
I love the museum district.
I won't go into explaining why that was.
Right across the street from the beer district.
yeah, right. You don't have any objections to changing that? Anything
I don't have any
technical we should,
objections. There was a reason a long time ago, but
Okay.
it's not.
it's not relevant?
Institutional bar.
No, just the whole idea that districts, there was a deliberate attempt to use different words in the plan and in the regulations.
Oh,
Too close to
I
the
mean,
Hunger
we're
Games.
kind of, the trend has been for plans and zoning regulations to line up pretty much one-to-one, but that's not the way they used to be.
Got
oh,
it.
okay. In addition to the delineated districts. shall be-
So where are you now?
So
We're
we're
on
on
page
top
9.
of page 9. I think that's pretty straight.
This is
pretty-
recent. We just did this.
Yeah, I think that's
So-
pretty straight. I would go right to objectives.
Awesome.
Yes.
I was just gonna ask what CDGB is, or CDBG.
Community Development Block Grant. You can spell that out.
CDBG. Objectives. So we haven't talked about, do we like what are we doing with recommended actions? We can talk about that when we get to those, or we can talk about it now.
Objective 1 doesn't seem to make a lot of sense to me. I thought it could be jettisoned.
Reinforce. It's the commercial, civic, and social center of Shelburne Village.
Is that essentially just saying, don't change what we've got?
The history is that the 1988 plan came about after the jelly mill was proposed, and the developer at the time said, this is going to be the new center of the village, of the town. You know? And the response of people who wanted things to stay active in the village was that the village is,
Oh, okay.
and so this language, which comes from the 88 plan, gets at this idea of preserving
Yeah.
this as the center. So
Okay,
it's
all right.
juxtaposing this with the what's north.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe
Okay,
the
all
word
right,
should be
stay.
preserved
Preserve.
instead of
Yeah, withdraw.
reinforce.
Yeah.
I
She's
just don't
withdrawing.
like that support, but.
So you're keeping one?
Yep,
We're gonna keep one.
yes.
Maybe change the
Mea
word
culpa.
reinforce.
What do you like?
Preserve.
Yeah, preserve.
Preserve. All right. We're on a roll.
Okay.
Other than the next sentence says preserve.
And can we just get rid of the second sentence?
Which
Preserve
one?
and
Or
Preserve?
just leave
Preserve and enhance, preserve the
next-
village center area around as the commercial, civic, and social center of Shelburne Village. Doesn't that sort of say it all right there? Or do we have to?
Don't talk about uses.
Yeah. I would think that's not,
Well,
Okay,
Some
so
would
you're
argue
keeping-
enhancing something means you're not preserving it.
It's a fair point.
It says preserve and enhance.
Preserve and enhance the mixture.
oh, okay.
Instead of preserve,
So should we just say
retain?
preserve and enhance the village center around the intersection as the law?
What if we just left the last sentence in there? Encourage mixture of housing. That doesn't take care of the uses.
It's just, it's so use-based, which I hate. I mean,
Yeah.
So are you saying preserve the village center as the commercial, civic, and social center of Shelburne Village? Is that-
Mhm.
So get rid of the around area around. And then
Oh.
get rid of the second
Social
sentence.
center, Shelburne Village. Yeah, could end right there.
I'm fine with that too, I guess. But I know that's what we were saying, but I'm okay. Preserve the village center as the commercial, civic,
yeah, I think,
right?
yeah, because we talk
Get rid
about.
of the area around all that
We talk about what
language.
we're gonna specifically do in the subsequent objectives. So it just seems sort of redundant.
Preserve the village center as, okay.
And after Shelburne Village, and then what about the second sentence, preserve and enhance? Is that no longer staying?
So,
I don't know that we need it.
yeah, that's what I think we're saying we can get
Probably
rid of
don't
it.
need it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Just so that I'm clear, the words, it's the commercial center of the village, that's all that remained? You took out?
Commercial, civic, and social center.
Okay, you left that
We
alone.
left, yeah, we deleted that.
Area around
That's
Shelburne.
Yeah,
slash.
that I got. I
Yeah.
thought maybe there was some collapsing
No.
of this commercial, civic, social. And then after that, it's
Editing
gone.
mode
Dick,
here.
you were talking for a bit about the last sentence, but no?
Yeah, I thought we didn't need the last sentence.
You know, it
Oh,
all.
the short sentence?
I'm wondering, since we've identified where these places are located on a map, if we could just say preserve the village center as the commercial, civic, and social center of Shelburne Village, and just,
Yeah, that's what we're saying.
okay.
Did we talk about housing and somewhere else?
Do we talk elsewhere in other objectives about housing?
houses?
It's a good question.
That last sentence is encourage a mixture of housing
Yeah.
types. I didn't know if there's another section.
There's 14 objectives.
Yeah.
I'm sure we get to it somewhere, or we could get to it. So, and then
Shelburne Road is
if
the
we're okay to
main
move on to
street.
number 2, I would suggest that we say enhance the formal character of Shelburne Road as the village main street.
Enhance the formal character of Shelburne Road, is that?
Yes. By maintaining,
It's number 5.
what?
That's number 5.
Oh, is it?
Maintain and enhance pedestrian.
It says shall remain 2 lanes as it passes through the village area. Was there a concern that it would be blown out to 4 lanes and that was,
Yeah.
and we have, as the town, have control, the state can't claim there's too much traffic going through?
Until the state decides they will.
That's what I'm saying.
No, but we're putting them on notice that that's really
It's a
important
loaded
to us.
question, Perry.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Well, if the town plan said that the road should remain 2 lanes, and then V-Trans came through with a plan to make it 4 lanes, the plan would probably have a major impact in the Act 250 process. So I think V-Trans would be very hesitant to promote a project for 4 lanes if the plan says keep it 2.
Yeah,
So the question is, do you want it to say keep it to 2?
yes. Absolutely.
So
Yeah,
enhan-
it is one place, because of a project like that would go through Act 250, and one of the Act 250 criteria is adherence to the municipal plan. So that would be a pretty tough hurdle for them to clear.
On the other hand, the
so
state
can we
will go
throw
for
in that I don't
50
want to
years
hear
to do it.
train horns blasting at 5 AM and 10 at night, and they can only come through at 9 AM to?
We'll get to noise. We're gonna have to figure out where that lives, so hold that thought.
How about that?
So the formal enhance the formal characteristics of Shelburne Road as the village's main street. And then I would say that, you know, what we mean by that.
Can we put maintain instead of enhance? Enhance sounds like we're doing something to it.
Well, I think we want to do more than just maintain it, because if existing conditions are not
No, yeah, I
super
agree.
impressive, in my opinion.
No, but we're not saying that that's what we're gonna do. We're just saying we're gonna maintain it as 2 lanes.
Well, I would say that it's bigger, that enhance the formal characteristics of Shelburne Road as the village's main street, meaning maintain, so I would say, not maintain, but.
Can we say like, focus on beautifying, the main street?
I just want to make sure, Kate, you're not thinking of some of these things really more in connection with growth area 2, are you? Because this is growth area 1.
No, I was thinking of this as, so it gets into discussion of spacing and setback of structures, the presence of stately street trees, things like that. So I was trying to get into a discussion of the space, the formal space that is defined by
The aesthetic, right?
the aesthetic,
sort of
the two-lane road,
The 4 corners.
the 4 corners,
yeah.
the existing buildings, the whole kind of experience of being somebody traveling on that road or walking by it or
How about
looking at it or
promote?
what have you.
Instead of enhance.
What's that?
I'm fine with that, too.
Promote the formal character.
What, I just didn't hear the verb.
Promote.
Promote, yes, perfect, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it is.
So are you replacing 2 with just that one sentence? Promote the formal characteristics of Shelburne Road as the village's main street?
No,
is
and then
it-
I think we need to talk a little bit about what we mean by that.
And is it characteristics or character?
We could just say character.
Character.
Why don't we just say character?
Character.
So, or not maintain, but enhance the visual and spatial qualities, and residential character of development along it. But there's more than just residential character.
Mhm.
I would just say character of development around it, and that's kind of more all-inclusive.
Or we still have
Um,
character twice.
Shelburne Road shall remain 2 lanes as it passes through the village area. Visual qualities to be enhanced include landscaping, the spacing and setback of structures, and the addition of stately street trees. So, and I think maybe something about a walkable pedestrian realm. A pleasant, walkable, safe
That's
pedestrian
number
realm.
5, maintain and enhance pedestrian accessibility.
But it's not that, well, in terms of these objectives, it could go two ways. If we wanted to reduce them, then we consolidate and be more succinct with our wording, or if the objectives stand alone on their own merit, then keep them as shorter, pithy type objectives.
This bullet probably should stand on its own, it's really.
To just keep the formal character of the main street and then done, and then, because this is effectively,
But the formal character includes the presence of a really good pedestrian realm. Otherwise, it's just a place for cars. So I think that's really
So can
important.
we just reorganize it a little?
Yeah,
Can we
I-
move the pedestrian piece
Yeah, I think the pedestrian piece is a
right
key
next to
part
that?
of the
And
formal
maybe we combine
characteristics.
it into one.
5 and 6 are pretty much dealing with
I
pedestrian.
agree, it is very,
accessibility.
they're adjacent concepts, they're almost the same concept.
Yeah.
Do you want to look at those two together?
Yeah, I mean,
Kate, or-
we could even say, promote the formal characteristics of Shelburne Road as the village main street. Shelburne Road shall remain 2 lanes as it passes through the village. The following visual and spatial qualities will be addressed, and then, colon, and then we can list what those are in bullet form. And then we get rid of probably a bunch of these objectives. So it's the organization of how buildings line the street, the setbacks, what occurs in those setbacks, the presence of street trees, generous pedestrian, sidewalks, bike lanes. I mean, this is our chance to say what we would like to have, even though we don't actually control getting it. I mean, who knows, someday the select board may decide to, and then I think one of the recommendations maybe we should see is this recommend that I guess we're not going on recommendations yet, objectives.
So my
But
understanding,
a class 1 highway, I think makes some sense.
and that conversation could come about as a result of this Southern Gateway project or
Yeah.
another project.
Yeah.
But am I understanding that one of the things that's gonna happen between now and the next meeting is that Kate will take the edits to number 2 so far and then create a series of bullets that are
Yeah, what,
pulling out?
Yeah, I think we're
and-
thinking about moving some of these
Yeah,
around, like the pedestrian, number 5, we'd probably move forward.
yeah,
either
I can
5 and 6
put
can
something
almost
together
be
that
merged.
is a proposal to you guys, and then see what you all think. Something you can react to, rather than this,
Do we need to itemize all these things to
kind of
stay
stream
in
of
line with
consciousness
something?
thing that I'm doing right now.
we need to itemize all of the things that are,
Thinking 5 and 6.
5 and 6.
well, I don't, yeah, this is policy guidance, so this is supposed to help boards make decisions in the future. There's not an absolute requirement for those specific words, but.
But does it enforce the regs?
Well, to the extent that the plan has guidance in it and the zoning implements them, that's helpful.
So Kate will go ahead and revise and move things around and pull some ideas together on modified objectives. What do we think, just for a couple minutes here, how do we want to handle recommended actions? There was a conversation last go-around about, does this become an addendum of sorts or a supplement as opposed to somewhat lengthy specific tactical actions that
Quite a section.
it's more of a work plan is one way to think about it.
One of the things that you could just keep as an item under actions, if you retain any of it in the regs, is, because you do it all the time, is to revisit land use bylaws. You know, but you're gonna do that anyway, so
Yeah.
you don't really need to spell that out so much. Yeah, there are,
I mean, what I like about that is that it does give us license to do that if there's not a request, right? Like, we have the ability to say, you know what? As a commission, we observe X, Y, and Z, and it's consistent with a recommended action in the town plan to go ahead and periodically do that on our own initiative. So I like that idea.
it's,
If it's helpful to live in here, if it is better living in a addendum, I don't have a strong view.
Well, we could decide if if there are any recommended actions, I'm sure that there's editing that could be done. Some things may not be relevant anymore, as
Right.
you've annotated. So we can still go through and look at all that, and when we get done with all of it, we can decide if this
Yeah.
document is too thick, let's take all the recommended actions and put them into an appendix sorted by section that we can refer to in the
Yeah.
actual document.
yeah. I mean,
I'm
you don't,
fine with
I
that.
think it would be, if time allows, it's good to edit down the list of recommended actions regardless of where that list ends up.
Yeah, I agree. We should spend that time. I also do. I think most, I might be wrong here, but I think most people who would be reading this aren't as concerned about the granular tactical piece of this.
They're not zeroing in
They're not
on
getting bogged down
those.
on that. I think they're more concerned about the high level. Okay, what are we trying to do here? Is this particular application or proposal consistent with goals and objectives in the town plan? But I do think we should go through, I don't know, given the hour, if maybe we could just hit some of Dean's call-outs here so that can give a little direction on a next edit.
Where are you
We're
recommending
in, yeah,
actions?
page 11, the second piece here, talking about the form-based code.
I don't like the idea of putting form-based code in the village. I think it disarms historic. I don't think I'm ready to do a generic plan for the village.
Yeah, no, that's fine, but we already say that, don't we? We should investigate whether form-based approach would be appropriate.
I thought we had at one time.
Why is that in quotes here, by the way? I don't know. I can't find the quote, but.
Yeah, where did that start?
The last half could be replaced by what?
There's an
I'm trying to remember what is missing. I don't know that I
It's all
can
right,
tell
let's
you.
move on. Pedestrian connection, yep, this is the sidewalk going on at the museum. I think, given that, I would probably just go ahead and delete that.
What about joint promotion between museum and village businesses?
Yeah, that's good.
That should stay.
We need to keep that up, right?
Mhm.
I'm just looking at Dean's annotations here to see if there's anything easy we can knock off before spending more time on recommended actions that we probably don't have right now. Edit to reflect tree advisory. Yes, we should do that. New parade ground master plan. Yep. So here's an idea. Just as an efficiency and time-saving device, I wonder, Dean, if, to the extent you can just edit in real time when you
Red
are
line.
knowledgeable, right?
Yeah.
You know, right? Like, yes, if there's an updated parade master plan, let's definitely add that. I don't think anybody will
Yeah.
have any
Right.
objections, and it will save you having to annotate this and just real-time editing, and we can work through any language objections, but
Okay. Well, I'm in the way that Kate
if that, is that easier for, on your end?
I'm perfectly fine if Kate wants to, tackle
The objectives?
condensing the objectives.
Are you
I'll
all right
do
with
the
that? It
recommended
feels like it
actions.
saves a step.
Yep.
Maybe if we can just reflect sort of current state on recommended actions, so those are all updated.
Yeah, and then tackle them from that.
Yeah, and then from there, we
platform,
can figure
yeah.
out, do we consolidate, do we eventually pull it out into a separate document?
Excuse me,
Let's
uh-huh,
see.
thank you.
Isn't it?
Okay.
Okay, well, we got up to growth area 2. I think that's pretty good work for one evening. A lot more to do here. We'll go back, work through Kate's updates to growth area 1. We'll look at the vision update. We'll have time allocated for growth area 2 conversation next go around. We'll go through these annotations, which are already there. And I think let's reserve time for the rural area as well. It's not that long. I think we can get through that pretty easily. Everybody good with that? Maybe by then we'll have the information from the RPC on energy, but that's a lot of content in one evening, so I'm
Yeah.
sensitive about how much we can tackle.
Yeah, we should talk a little bit more about what the priority is, because I do think that the RPC will have the material ready by the next meeting. But you also will have the form-based zoning
Yeah.
package, and whatever you would want to put your time on the plan. If the RPC means it when they say they're gonna blow by that original deadline, maybe put off energy a little bit more, keep the ball rolling on
It's
this
kind of what
stuff.
I'm thinking. I'd like to make some good headway on
Yeah.
land use and get through that potentially, and then
But I do-
address form-based code, closing that chapter out with
Yeah,
place
I mean,
sense.
she's gonna be giving us a lot of material.
Right, so we're gonna have a lot of edits to work through between,
Yeah.
a lot of page turning is what I'd say, so,
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what, we should try to figure out what to target on as part of form-based zoning, because
yeah, I agree. We're not gonna have time to,
I would think that the density thing is the most important thing to fail, to,
Yeah, one of the biggies.
I don't
Because-
think we've spent enough time on that.
No, we
Yeah.
really haven't, and it's the kind of the linchpin for how a lot of things will kind of hang from that, I think. And we've had kind of a sneak preview of where Amy's
Yep.
thinking is going with stormwater.
I already felt that's in a pretty good place, too.
Yeah, and it sounds like, almost like, here's like the, our most immediate next step could be this, and then we could do this more expanded version of that, providing the following things that we have no control over are in place, like a stormwater utility and other things. So I
Yeah.
feel like we have kind of a roadmap that's developing for that. That's been very helpful. It's really helped frame my thinking about other things. And so, yeah, the infill, and then also the public art
Yeah,
wayfinding, open space kind of thing is, I'm very interested to hear, because that is going to establish some semblance of more of a community identity in the meantime, while we're waiting for the development demand to materialize, which hopefully it will. But it's gonna happen very slowly and probably pretty incrementally, I think.
yeah, I agree. I think those are probably the two areas I would also want to spend time on, is the density redevelopment calculations, as well as the public art, because we haven't spent any time at all. I feel good about, we addressed the parallel roads, we addressed stormwater very well. I think we also decided that we didn't want to spend time on materials. I mean, we made some good decisions
Yeah.
as part of that engagement. So we'll do that, we'll continue that. Make it somewhat focused in our next go-around. That's our last time with them, correct?
It's the.
Do they present to the select
I
board?
think it's the last
after that?
PC meeting, and the other one would be select
To the
board.
select board.
I think so.
Okay,
Yeah, unless for whatever reason we think we'd want to reprogram not to the select board, try to get the select board and come another time here.
yeah, we can decide,
Yeah.
once we see what they present. Okay, moving on, our next agenda item is just a quick debrief, recap of the joint session retreat we had with the Natural Resources Committee on Monday. I was really happy with it. I thought it went really well. People seemed very engaged. It was a good discussion. I knew that the agenda was very ambitious and that we weren't going to cover all that ground. But I really liked the idea of just starting that conversation and opening up the lines of communication. I was very happy with the open space plan, with what they've done to date. I'm excited. I think the work product looks solid and people will be happy to see that. Visually beautiful. They did a nice job on it, so.
And you feel no need as a group to schedule time to go over comments and make it formal?
No, I don't. We've seen it as an initial draft, right? We had Sean in, we had Peg, or Joanne was in too.
Joanna did.
Yeah, Joanna
Yeah, I think
came
they
in.
want to make sure that the commission doesn't feel like they're, running it to the select board without you having the time.
I
that you
mean,
want.
I'll take the pulse of the group. I'm happy to put time on an agenda and look at that in more detail. Dean's already circulated the 95% working draft, right?
Yeah, there's a
some tweaks.
96.5%
Right,
now,
I mean, they're
but-
going to be,
Did they,
Oh, and you weren't there, I could,
I wasn't there.
yeah,
Did
and I was
they-
just thinking, I'm gonna try to find you a color copy, but
That'll be
anyway.
great. Was there any discussion of calibration with Jens Hilke's presentation? And, because I think,
yeah.
I think Sean may have spoken with Jens about the whole Bobcat thing and the importance of that kind of big news flash that, we have these really important riparian corridors.
Yeah, we had some really good conversation about that, as
Right.
well as identifying just
Yeah, and
challenges.
Yeah, and Sean has a map that there was a fair amount of discussion of that. You said you want to, we want to highlight that map. Maybe it would end up
I
in the
like that
plan.
map.
And so we would add it to the.
Was that in the plan?
It's in the open space plan,
It is in there.
yeah.
Um,
But it's not the most data-driven.
Is
Yeah.
that the
Map.
kind of thing that we could reference in the town plan update, just if it's
That's what I
a
was,
beautiful thing?
Yeah, I mean, I think that people still need to make sure they're comfortable with these arrow representations and what do those really mean?
that's where we got a little hung up on it. It may not be the most data-driven map. It may be
More
conceptual.
illustrative.
Illustrative,
or-
maybe,
Yeah.
is a good way
Yeah.
to say it, but it wasn't quite grounded in data
Yeah.
necessarily. It was more, obviously they're
But isn't
very
that
experienced and.
appropriate for a vision document, to have something that is kind of more illustrative and perhaps aspirational, and then we work on,
Yeah, I mean, I think there are a
putting
couple of
meat on
things.
those
One,
bones, I guess?
with Krista's showing people the biofinder, there's just so much information, so
So
much
much.
that's mapped that you could include on the data side. What Sean made the point about was that they applied professional expertise to be able to represent where flows of wildlife would occur. And he was saying that we would have to collect a ton of data to justify it in kind of an empirical sense.
Yeah.
But their observation is that there are flows from this area to this other area. It's just that having this big blocky arrow showing that from this core to this core there's a flow doesn't tell us necessarily all we would want to know. Well, then what do we do in the land in between? does it mean that if there was a development proposal in that?
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was getting at is, maybe that's what becomes a recommended action, right? It's an illustrative plan and we need to
Yeah.
figure out, like, let's make that a data-driven
Yeah.
exercise where we're
Yeah.
really
And he said
developing
that there are
empirical.
models that could produce a.
He did, yeah, no, I
detailed
said
map.
there are ways to do it, but,
Because you can only pursue information based on, what, as it comes available, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if we didn't, we're in the middle of this kind of about shift with thinking about some of this stuff, and we don't really know exactly how we're going to be pivoting yet, but just that it's important to, as you say, have a bit more granularity about how we approach some of these things in this area.
yeah. But I think that's a piece we're really gonna wanna pull into the natural
Mhm.
resources update.
Yeah.
I think we'll
I
spend a
think there
good
would be a
amount of
lot
time
of
on.
discussion about
Okay.
that when
Yeah.
you get to that
I
section.
do. Any other impressions of the evening, people? Comments?
I
thought
do,
the- Sorry.
go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I, before that meeting, I read through like 80% of the document, and I thought it was amazing in terms of just how professional it was, and that's why I was so shocked that they hadn't tried to raise money for this
Yeah.
open space fund, because it was so well done.
We do contribute each year to it.
Yeah, we had a
Yeah.
good talk about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
The town does, but I just meant from the residents knowing kind of what the Natural Resource Committee has put together on behalf of the town, like it was.
Yeah, the work products.
It was really
when you
impressive.
see- Yeah,
Like, I've seen like large company presentations that are way crappier.
Yeah,
Like,
no, I agree.
It
It's
was
a-
really nice.
So it's
Yep.
under-leveraged.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, it was completely underleveraged.
Yeah.
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 No, I think when you see the notes, and the open space fund was a good discussion and some real interesting ideas about how we might
Great.
evolve that. And that, I think, would potentially come into play in the town plan as well.
Yeah.
So, how about you, Jason? What do you think?
Yeah, well, same comment there, but also I like the idea of doing it twice a year or maybe quarterly to have a touch base with that group.
Yeah,
Twice a year is probably more realistic, but
yep, that's
to
what I
have
think too.
something, especially when there are big things going on.
You agree?
I do. I
Yeah.
didn't get to participate in the whole meeting, but
No, it's, yeah,
what I did, is a good vibe
yep.
for the town, I think. Transfer of knowledge.
Yeah, I agree. They're doing really good things, and they have some really good tenure on that board as well, so we need to just take advantage of that institutional knowledge and
From the planning side of
collaborate
things,
more.
like empirically, it's hard to prove, like, is this animal going this way or that way? It was more, if you have a giant development where there was, continuous piece of, that to me was like the big takeaway, and you're starting to see in different parts of the country, they're building like land bridges that are built in natural so animals can move.
Yeah.
That to me was the biggest takeaway, is just having continuous pieces of wild spaces for animals
Yeah,
to go.
yeah, that's the
Yeah.
idea. So good. We'll continue our good work with our friends on the Natural Resources Committee, and encourage everybody to just continue to outreach directly to members of that committee and keep up the good work. The one piece on going back to the comprehensive plan I did want to talk a little bit about is just the assignments.
The order or
The
assignments?
order and assignments,
Yeah.
just how folks want to tackle. We don't necessarily need to tackle these in the scripted order. These are, I believe, the statutory order, more or less.
This is it's roughly.
It's roughly,
statutory.
so
Yes, because some of them are.
You can put these in whatever order you want, and as far as how we go about our work, of course, we can sort of do it however we want. So we're in land use, it makes sense for us to just keep pushing through that, and Kate has the ball. After that, if we stick to the current table of contents, it would be natural resources, conservation. Dick had put his hand up on that. There's some annotations about Dick pulling his hand back down, which is fine. So the question is, Dick,
I did
why don't
wanna
you tell us,
change-
what do you want to work on? And
I
we'll
can find that page.
It's,
we'll accommodate your preferences as one of the senior members.
Look for the map, keep going.
Further back.
Yeah, after all the town plan stuff in the packet, you'll see this map, and it's a couple pages after that. Or here.
Just look at that.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I had mentioned I'd be interested in growth area 2 and rural area, as opposed to growth and development, although I don't mind helping out
I,
on either one of those.
yeah, I'd enjoy you, like, when we have the discussion, just because you've been in the town for
Yeah,
a
I don't
while.
mind.
Yeah,
You want to say like that's a
But-
co-lead with Kate? You and Kate next week, when we get into that, will help really drive it?
Sure.
Is that fair? Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
So that would free up someone would ideally pick up natural resources then if you're moving.
Yeah.
So Kate and Dick are doing land use.
Well, Dick is joining growth area 2.
Mhm.
Yeah, I can do natural resources.
So I was
I'm-
gonna say, yeah,
I'm
that's.
pretty
that's a-
close to that,
that's a-
yeah,
That's one you're pretty passionate about.
yeah. I can take the ball on that one.
telecommunication facilities, does it mean my calls won't be dropped anymore?
I don't know how my name ended up on this
Oh, I
one,
thought-
because I
did
thought I
you-
said I didn't.
was
No,
that a
no, I'm
mistake?
fine.
That's how
I'm
we got
fine
there.
doing it. I
Okay.
think it's only 2 pages, so
Yeah.
I'm happy to,
We can
I don't think
denote-
there'll be a ton of,
I'll take that one.
you want to do that one?
Sure,
Telecom? So,
yeah. I mean,
okay.
because I, you know,
You can leave me on natural
Sort of
resources
started.
if you want. I don't,
transportation, we're done, right?
Wait,
team up
so-
on that one too if you want.
So,
Wait.
hang on,
So Kate is land use.
Kate's doing land use. Dick, did you still want to help out on growth area 2 and rural?
Yes.
Okay. So let's put your name there as well. Do you want me to do natural resources, or do you want to?
Well, I think it doesn't hurt for a couple of people.
Yeah,
I don't mind staying on growth and development either, just to.
so I'm fine with co-leads. My only comment is that I want whoever is on that to really drive the conversation and do the legwork and sort of be the most prepared, sort of the subject matter expert on that section for the day, right, for the evening, I don't know. Just so we're not, so we have someone leading the conversation and doing the
Right.
page turn and driving it and being the most fluent, even if you're not the most fluent in the topic.
No, Perry's good, he's on top there, so.
That's my
And I
only,
already had some philosophical discussions with Dean over
which topic?
population growth.
Yeah.
Okay,
And one of the things that came out of that is just the order. Would you want to have the conversation about growth before you get into the other topic areas? So after land use, is that one of the points, I think?
Because and this stems from, we had the discussion where it basically said, it didn't say target, but 110 people per year. Is that a floor? Is that a target? Is that a ceiling? Do we want to try and just use what the state has provided us? Like, it really comes down to a philosophical discussion on, that you were discussing before, Dick, of when is too much growth too much? When does the character of the town change?
no, for sure. I mean, we'll fill you in on some of the background on this one. This is far and away the most contentious
There's been a lot of arguments about a very small topic.
section and it will be, I suspect, so.
Well, there's
Good
no
to have you-
arguments
good to
for
have you
me, I just
stepping
want to
in.
understand what everybody else's views are,
Yeah, no,
because.
we'll do that.
I think that number is more historical, has become sort of a fixed figure.
Well, let's not debate it now, but
I'll
we'll,
just make a comment.
yeah, we'll get into it. So we have housing's a big one that,
Can we get support from the?
yeah,
housing
we
subcommittee?
absolutely will, but we need somebody to lead that coordination at least. With the housing.
Childcare should be relatively painless.
Yeah, I'm happy to do housing as well, since, I mean, I love seeing Ron and our former friends on our subcommittee, so,
I'm happy to support something else as well.
yeah,
I
there's
just- I
transportation,
think
there's,
energy is gonna
Energy is a big
Get
one.
bigger.
I think that is gonna be one of the most extensive updates, even though volume-wise, it doesn't look like a lot here. I think there are gonna be pretty extensive updates on that.
I mean, having taken the lead on transportation, just in the recent update, I can take another spin at it, just because I was most involved in that. It might-
Last go around,
Yeah, it might make sense to just, for me
to
to,
just lead it.
yeah, just to kind of eyeball
All right.
what we need to do.
So do you wanna give me back towers, or you wanna do both? You're good?
Yeah, why don't I give you back
right.
towers? Yeah, because that's probably, in some ways more, yeah, I mean, you wrote the ordinance that, all that.
All right, so we have Andrew down for historic parks. Me for housing, Perry for childcare, Jason's got the ball on energy. I think we got most of this covered. Citizen participation, I don't know if we need anybody on that. I can't remember what's in that. Let's just keep that open for the time being. Okay. Order, we don't have to figure out right now, I don't think, right? Because next meeting, we're going to have land use continuation, and then we can decide
Yeah.
how we want to go about the order. All right. Next item on our agenda is Commissioner questions and comments.
I mostly just wanted to plant a concept
Yeah.
around energy for when we do get to it, is with the goals that we know are coming, it's to have our energy come from 90% alternative sources by 2050, with an interim goal of 25% by 2025. And just in thinking of that conceptually, technology is going to come a long way in that time, granted. But I think one of the big wrestling matches that we'll have is what do we mean by, or how much do we want to protect scenic resources, and to what degree does that, what do we mean by that? Like, and I'm not, I mean, you can have people that think wind turbines are ugly or solar is ugly, but if there are creative ways of implementing things like that, like in the case of solar, as technology increases, if there are ways to make solar appear more integrated to the landscape and just not stand out.
Solar City has, with the different tiles, that's happening. So now you have 4 options for your roof, so it's not the tiles
The big
are
blocky,
the
yeah.
actual panels, so it's aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah, this is more ground mounted where there
Yeah,
are issues.
It is, and it's more, the reason that I want to bring it up as something to think about is because in the past, and I did join the select board when we went to Shelburne Farms to look at that installation, and some of the questions were people looking around and saying, okay, can you see this from over there? Because we do, I mean, we have rules that say that it can't be seen by neighboring properties and that sort of
Yep.
thing. And I'm not sure that we're going to be able to attain these goals if we don't be a little bit more creative or relax that a bit.
Well, I like where you're going with this, because, is it possible to combine public art and renewable energy generation? I mean, that's a really interesting question right there. Particularly as these things evolve and there is more flexibility about, their form and stuff. Right now, they're super industrial looking. But, that's not to say that that wouldn't happen in the future. So that would be, to me, that would be like a recommendation that if these things can be construed in a certain way, yeah, we're come talk to us.
Yeah, that's a great point, and more the reason I want to bring it up is because with all of these sections and everybody doing research, I think that there are elements that you'll need to figure out, well, are there ways to incorporate energy into this?
Mhm.
And so I just kind of wanted to plant the idea.
Yep. Yeah, no, it's a good call out. There's a lot there for sure. It's gonna be good conversation.
Like, there's a very interesting project in Wales. Now, this is a really big project, but they're using there's quite a strong difference in tides in this section, and they're using that literally to generate energy. They figured out a way to kind of harness it, and so it's a very functional thing, but it's also a thing of great beauty, and it's become something that is like a tourism feature, frankly. So, you know, I don't know, is there some sort of equivalent of that we could pursue?
They were doing something like that in Maine about 15, 20 years ago. They were a large floating disc, and the rise and fall of waves is generating. I never heard anything about it afterwards.
Oh,
Technology's still around. Japan just deployed one from a company in New Jersey.
So my only comment is I mentioned it, Don Posner resigned, so to the extent anybody has folks in their network who might be interested in joining our esteemed group,
Merry
please direct them to Joe Colangelo, and he told us he'll be putting out an advertisement shortly for
He did say
the
that.
vacancies, so that's all I have. Anything else? No? Next agenda item is other business. Dean, anything of note?
I did not have anything of note.
Okay, with that, we'll consider a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Moved by Jason,
second.
seconded by Dick. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.